join in. Shall we do the intro then? Okay. Hello and welcome back to the Emily Knits channel. I probably won't stay in this angle for the duration, but somebody came to say hi, so I thought we'd do the intro with him here. My name's Emily. In case you are new here, I've had a fair few new subscribers from a video I put up last week, a pattern roundup video. So if you've heard from that, thank you very much. And just to give a bit of an intro, if you've not met me yet, my name is Emily. I am a knitter, a crocheter, and apparently a cross stitcher. So yeah, carrying on from my intro that I just started, I've moved back into my normal sort of framing now. My name is Emily. I am a knitter, crocheter, and sometimes cross stitcher. That was me remembering that I need to go get my cross stitch in a second. Based in the north of Nottinghamshire in the UK, where I live with my other half and our two dogs, one of whom you've just seen, close to Sherwood Forest. I have today a traditional format podcast video for you. I always say I hope it won't be too long, but it's always about an hour, so I will try and keep it a bit shorter this time, partly because I've not got as much to talk about. So we don't have any finished objects to talk about. We've got 3 WIPs, all of which you've seen before, but I've made some quite considerable progress on them. I've been not monogamous, but as monogamous as it gets for me, probably, on these 3 the last 2 weeks since we spoke. I've got no acquisitions. I've got no new cast-ons or anything like that to talk about. So it is just purely WIPs this week with a bit of life update at the end, because there is a fair bit of life update at the moment. So I thought what I would do after I finished is do a bit of a knit and chat on one of these with you and do a bit of a life update at the end, which does link to some imminent future knitting plans that will be coming up and some very exciting news. A couple of little bits of admin before we get into it. First off, I apologise in advance if I'm a little bit all over the place. I will chat about it a little bit more in the life update at the end, but I have currently got some medication that is making me feel a little bit spaced out. There's a little bit of brain fog going on, so I might be worse than I normally am with names and things of designers and yarns and patterns. But what I will do is make sure that everything is correct on screen. If I'm making mistakes, I'm correcting them on screen, and everything will be in the description box as well below. I hope it won't be too bad. Sorry in advance if it is. The second thing to talk about is my giveaway that I ran a couple of weeks back, no, about a month back now, 2 podcast episodes ago. So I was giving away a copy of the Irene sweater, which was a test knit I'd finished by Journey Through Yarn, and she'd kindly agreed to gift a pattern for a giveaway. Yeah, unfortunately, I announced the winner a couple of weeks back, and I did a reminder on my last podcast episode, but unfortunately the winner still hasn't reached out to me, so I have drawn another winner. If this is your name, you are the winner. Hopefully we have a bit more success this time. I'd really like to gift someone a pattern copy, so I really hope that this one is seen by the person who's won it, and we can arrange to get that to you. So if you are the person in the comment, there we go, looked like I had some sort of lazy eye because of my hair. If you're the person that's the winner, either reach out to me on Instagram, which I'll put up here, or Revery, which I'll put down here. I don't have an email address for the podcast at the moment. I could probably do with creating one, but I haven't done it yet. So contact me on one of these 2. I will be keeping an eye on my messages on both. And if they're not accessible to you, then drop a comment down below and we'll find a way to get the pattern to you. But contact me on one of those 2 or in the comments below, and we will find a way to get your copy of your pattern to you. So congratulations, and fingers crossed this one works out. Okay, that was all I needed to talk about in terms of admin before we got started. I'm going to take a drink, try not to spill it on the dog, who's lied down literally right here, right next to me now. You won't be able to, no, not quite see him. Oh, and as I've said that, of course, that was the cue to walk off. So now he's not there. But let's get into talking about some WIPs. So I'm not wearing any knitwear today at all, albeit it is cold enough in the UK now that I could. Spring has apparently gone and we're back into winter again. But the reason for not wearing any is because the two of the 3 things that I'm going to talk about today are at points where I can try them on. So we're going to do some trying on. First and foremost, I'll talk about my socks. Ooh. Which we saw these. You saw these first off last week. They were a half finished object last week, but I've been working on the second. These are, when I spoke about them last week, these were the as yet unnamed wavy socks from Yarnia Designs, who is Hannah Notwell. I'm trying really hard with the names. They have now been named and they have been released, and these are the Coral Cove socks, which were released on I think the 23rd of May. So they are now out. I'm filming this on the 26th and I'm hoping to get it up today as well. So they are now out. You can go and get yourself a pattern. They are called the Coral Cove socks, and I would highly recommend these. We'll go through in a bit more detail how you work them and where I'm at with them. So I have picked up and started my second sock, and I've just got onto the heel flap, which is the traditional heel flap and gusset socks. So I have used a variety of scraps to make mine, and I've done them in these rainbow mini colourways, rainbow sort of mini skein gradient. It's not a gradient, is it? Whatever, the pattern that I've decided I'm going to do them in. I mentioned last time that I had decided I was going to flip the colours, so I would start with the pink and make them sisters not twins essentially, and that's exactly what I've done. So I started with the red and the pink up at the top and I faded down into the green. Then I've started working my heel, and when I come back down I will fade back with the green and fade into the pink at the end. So they will look similar but clearly the part of the same pair but slightly different, and I think that looks quite fun. So I'm excited to finish these. I said I would make a couple of changes to them, and I have. That was one of them, was that I would change the colours. Well, I have made one of the changes. I haven't made the others. I have changed the colour order. I did say what I was going to do, obviously, because these are colour, stripy colour socks. You get little jogs on the one side where you're changing colour. You could do jogless stripes, but the pattern doesn't recommend, and it was a test knit, so I did what the pattern said to do. And what I did say I was going to do was I was going to flip the pattern around a bit so that my jogs went on the inside, went on the opposite side, if that makes sense. So if that's my foot, these are currently on the inside, and I was going to switch the pattern around so on the other sock they were on the inside as well. I haven't done that on this, and I spent quite a lot of time agonising over whether I was going to or whether I wasn't, and I didn't in the end, because this yarn at the top is the reason why I didn't do it. I wanted this reddy orange to be at the forefront because that's what sort of makes this gradient fade, but at the back it's pulled all the purples and yellows. I don't know if you can see that. It's like a muddy purple. It's a really strange purple. Yeah, you can see that a bit better there, almost like a brownie purple. And I thought that looked quite jarring next to this, and if I'd flipped the pattern and done the heel and made it so those jogs went on the inside, the heel would have been at the back here on the front, what is now the front, and the red would have been at the back, and this would have been at the forefront of my leg, and I didn't want that. So I have decided that I weighed it up for a long time while I was knitting these, and I decided that having the jogs, which aren't actually super noticeable, they're really only noticeable in these slightly darker colours, and actually that's a darker colour and you can't really see it. I don't know why that is, but yeah, I decided that bothered me less than having that purpley yellowy brown stuff at the front, so I decided to go with that instead in the end. These were really enjoyable to knit. I just have lost my sock mojo a bit in the last couple of weeks, mainly because I've been focusing fairly monogamously on these two summer tops that I'm going to talk about shortly, but they were really enjoyable to knit and I would very much recommend them. I knit the largest size, which is 72 stitches. I knit it on a 2.5mm small circular, and it's a really nice, easily memorizable pattern. Really good for scraps. You only use like 2 or 3 grams of each colour per stripe. And then I've used a leftover bit of woolly knit 4-ply sock yarn that I've got in stash for the main colour. And then the pattern itself is really memorizable. So each garter strip is a 4-round repeat, and each lace strip is a 4-round repeat, and it's really easy to memorize. So I found the first one flew. The second one, once I actually did get knitting on it, that's only a couple of evenings worth of work, so it still has flown. And yeah, I'm very excited to have my second one because it's just gorgeous and glorious and bright. I am slightly concerned because I've not got much of my main colour left, and I think that's, oops, it's also knotted. I think that's one of the things that has put me off working on these a bit more, is I'm genuinely concerned that I'm not going to have enough left here to do the heel, the rest of the stripes and the toe. And I don't know what I'm going to do if I do that, because I don't want to buy another 100-gram cake of this just to finish off a toe. I could, but it seems a bit counterintuitive. alternatively, if it comes to that, I could just unpick this toe, rip the toe back and do the toes in a different colour so they match, but I don't really want to do that because the grey is cohesive all the way through. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm really hoping, but it's really not much I've got left there. It's quite a solid little cake, so maybe it'll be all right, but I'm worried, and I don't know if anybody else gets that. I'm worried I'm not going to have enough to finish it how I want, so it is ruining my mojo on it a little bit, and it's slowing me down. I need to just keep on and crack through and see how I get on with it. But it's like Schrodinger's sock, isn't it, or Schrodinger's yarn. If I don't knit on it, I don't know if I'm going to run out or not. I never have to worry about that, but then I also don't get the finished item, so I really should crack on with those. So yeah, that is the Coral Cove socks by Yarnia Designs, Hannah Notwell, out now. Highly recommend it. Very, very fun pattern. Really good for scraps, really good for a mini skein set, really good for, you could even just do it in almost 2 colour. You could have a main colour and 1 colour all the way through and it would look really classy. Really, really like these. Very easy to follow pattern and really enjoyable. So that's the first WIP. My other pair of socks that we spoke about last week, haven't had any work on them, haven't cast them on or anything. I will get to it. There is a couple of things that I really want to knit. It's coming up to Father's Day, I think, in June in the UK. And we've mentioned on the podcast before that my dad loves hand knit socks. So if I can make him a pair for Father's Day, he would really appreciate it, I'm sure. So I'd like to be able to do that. I also have an idea for some colour work socks that I want to try and self-draft. Maybe turn it into a pattern, who knows? I've never done that before. I've never really even self-drafted before. So this is maybe pie in the sky. But I don't want to do that until I don't want to leave a half-finished sock there or a half-finished pair of socks because I won't come back to it. So I don't want to do either of those things until I've cleared these needles and finished these 2 pairs. So that is my motivation for that. That's keeping me going. Okay, so that's where we're at with the socks. Okay, so moving on to the things that we're going to be trying on. Let's start with this one because it's closest and I'm going to need to get my try on God. Best thing I ever bought. I'd never had these before. Literally about a month or 2 ago I got these and they're so good. I don't know why I resisted it for so long. Let me just adjust a bit and then we will talk about this one. Okay, so this one you've seen before, but it's quite further on, quite a lot further on than when I showed it last time. This is my Reveries tee, which is a pattern by Hannah of Herbgarden Knitwear, which is in testing at the moment. I am on the test knit for this. This is a lovely fingering weight, light fingering weight really, summer top, knit on, it's very small needles, told you, fumbling words, needles, I think it's 3mm needles, with a 2.25 for the rib. And it's got this lovely deep 2x2 rib with some eyelet and cabling details at the, what do you call that bit? where the rib turns into the body, basically, at the end of the rib. I feel like there should be a name for that, but I don't know if there is. And then I think it has the same on the sleeves, and it very definitely has the same on the hem at the bottom. I have completely blanked on the size that I'm knitting. I think it's a size 12. For reference, I will put my measurements below, but I have a 50-inch bust. I am 6 foot tall, so I tend to knit mid to upper of most sizes, most patterns, especially if they're size inclusive. Hannah's are fantastically size inclusive. You can tell by the fact that I'm a size 12 in this that there are a lot underneath me. Normally I am, I've got my notebook in here that I think has all my notes. Okay, so I've got my notebook. I've also picked up my cross stitch, 4 WIPs to talk about. And in doing so, I have got coffee on my Reveries. Great. Good start. Right, let me get my notebook up and I can tell you the details of this pattern. Okay, yeah, there we are. So, yeah, Reveries tee by Hannah Lubin, who is Herbgarden Knitwear. I was correct. I'm knitting a size 12, which is a 52-inch finished garment. The sizes range from 1, which is a 29.75-inch bust, up to an 18, which is a 64.25-inch bust. It has a recommended 1.25 to 2.5 inches of positive ease, and I was right, it is 3mm needles. The recommended yarn is Knitting for Olive Pure Silk. I'm knitting this in Fantasy Yarns. There's the ball band. Fantasy Yarns, 50% cotton, 50% bamboo yarn, and I really, really am enjoying this. I found this was a really similar kind of gauge and drape and silkiness to Knitting for Olive Pure Silk, which is, I think I just mentioned, is the recommended yarn, but it's a lot more budget friendly. This was, I think, about £25. I haven't actually written down the price. I think it was about £25. They sell this by length rather than by weight, so it comes in 500 meters, 100 meters, 1250 meters, or 1500 meters, and I got a 1500 meter cake for £25 plus shipping, something like that. They also they have a massive range of colours. So they've got like 33 solid colours, 3 melange colours, and 28 ombre colours. So it's a really, really nice option. And they do 3 products. So they do a 50% cotton, 50% acrylic, 50% merino and acrylic, and a 50% bamboo and cotton blend there. When I got this was a big solid cake, and it is now squishy because I'm working from the centre. But let me get this on the try-on cards. I have tried this on. I've knit some length since I've tried it on, although not much because it's 3mm needles and it takes a very long time to get some length on it. So let's get this on the needles, off the needles, and we can try it on and see how it's fitted. Okay, so there we are. Let me just there, that's better. Let me pop you down a little bit and we can see where we're at. This was a little bit soul destroying when I tried it on, because when I tried it on I realised just how much I had left to do on the body, because even with a couple of inches under the sleeves, I've got a long way to go, but not soul destroying in the way that it looks absolutely stunning. So this is where we're at. You can see by how much of the black you can see through that this is an immensely light, drapey, silky yarn. It almost has a sheen to it and it's beautiful. And I love how once you put it on, this eyelet detail really comes to life around here. I think it looks absolutely gorgeous. It'll be slightly less noticeable obviously when it's finished, just because you won't have black poking through, because I'll wear this without anything underneath. And one thing to note, this is really common with summer yarns. I was expecting this, so I'm not surprised about it, but you can see the increased rounds, and that's always the case with summer yarns. This, I really wish that you could reach through and touch this, because it is so silky and so drapey. It's just, you can sort of see there is no structure to it really in any way. It's lovely. And I think when I tried it on the other day, I tried it on without anything underneath, because I was just trying it on I tried it on with the bra underneath, but next to skin. And it felt so cooling and smooth and silky. And I'm assuming that's the bamboo in it that's doing that sort of silkiness. But yeah, this is where we're at. I love that detail so much. So this is just pulling weird because of the needle. My stitches don't actually look like that. That's better. So I've got quite a long way to do. There's quite a length to knit on the body. This is intended to be cropped, but I don't want it to be super cropped because I don't tend to wear cropped tops very much. It's just not how I like to wear things. So I've got quite a lot left to do, but this is going to be something that's going to take a lot of my time over the next couple of weeks, and I'm hoping to make some really good progress on it. I said before that I find this fairly hard to knit on without looking, because I don't know if you're going to be able to see, but the yarn's quite lightly plied, so it's quite splitty. But the more I've worked with this, the more used to it I've got, and the more I find that I now can actually knit without looking, which is where I've got so much work done the other week, last week. So I think that's my last increase round, isn't it? I'm pretty certain when I last filmed, I was up here somewhere. So actually, that is a considerable amount of work I've done. That feels a bit better looking at it like that. What I'm going to do is take this off. I've got a stitch marker on the back, and I'm going to move that stitch marker to where I am now. So when we come back in a couple of weeks' time, I can see exactly how much I've done, and we can properly look at it that way. Let me pop you back up and take this off. Like I said, I am going to move my stitch marker, which is where there. So we can see where we were. So we can see where we were, and we can see next time I come back and show you exactly how much progress I can make on a 3mm summer top in 2 weeks. Okay, so that's my Reveries tee by Herbgarden Knitwear. Hannah has just actually announced, whilst we're here, Hannah has just announced that she's running a summer tops cal with Knitted by Whitney, who is another fantastic creator. If you've not, I'm sure you've probably seen her. But if you're looking for other plus size inclusive creators, Whitney is fantastic, and Whitney was one of my biggest inspirations in starting a channel. So she's running that. They've just announced that today on Instagram. It starts on the 1st of June, I think, and I'm absolutely going to be taking part in that. Hannah has some fantastic summer tops, very, very size inclusive. The Reveries won't be out for then, but there are some fantastic other ones, two of which actually I mentioned in my pattern roundup video. So if you haven't seen that yet, go and watch that and maybe join in on the cal. I will be joining in. I'll be knitting the Jantje top, Jantje tee from the last episode that I filmed, like I say, the pattern roundup. So if you want to come and join in. It'd be fantastic to have you there. Okay, and the last thing we're going to talk about is my Wicker Dreams excuse me, top. So this is another test. This is another test for one of my absolute favourite designers, who I've tested for quite a few times and I absolutely love testing for. This is by Celine, The Wicker Dreams by Celine Feyten. Celine's patterns are incredibly well written. They're very detailed, very size inclusive. They've got progress charts and things in them. They're really easy to read. And this is no exception. So this is the Wicker Dreams tee. What is that? That is my yarn that I'm working on. The reason I'm so affronted by that is because, believe it or not, I've woven my ends in already on this. If you watch my last podcast, you'll know that is really unusual for me. So I've woven my ends in. This is a little summer camisole that has this lovely wicker stitch detail at the top. Let me show you the back because you can see it a bit clearer there. Look at that stitch definition, it's so good. And then has a stockinette body with some bust darts, optional bust darts, waist shaping, and then it has the wicker stitch again a little bit at the bottom on the hem, and it also has this lovely garter stitch edging to it, which then follows down the side, and that is one of my favourite bits of this. How good does that look? There's something about that. If you've ever heard the phrase cute aggression with like puppies, kittens, babies, where you just want to, that for me, it's not cute aggression, but it's that kind of feeling. I just want to, oh, it's so good. Like, I don't know what it is about it. The details Celine puts in her patterns are fantastic. So I've tried this on, but I haven't since I've done the bust darts. So let's see and pray and hope that this fits okay and that I've not messed it up with the bust darts. No, that's fitting exceptionally well. That's fitting really, really well. So let me just adjust myself a bit. Okay, let me drop you down again and we can see that this bust darts are fitting exactly where I wanted them to. So this is what it's looking like so far. You have, why is that? I'm hoping that will flatten a bit with blocking because one of the ends is flipping in. But you've got these shoulder details with the wicker stitch on them. It's a little bit tight on my underarm actually. I'm hoping that will even out with blocking. And then we come down into the stockinette portion, and those bust darts are exactly where I need them to be. And they just add some length so that you can see it's sitting flat around my body rather than pulling up at the front because it's on my bust. And I'm really pleased with how they're looking. We mentioned briefly on the Reveries that obviously you can quite often see increases in summer yarn, and you can see these, but I've knit a top before. I mentioned it briefly when we were talking about summer tops in the last episode that I'd knit a top before and I don't wear it very often because it's too short and I needed to add length, but it was bottom up. One of the other things I wasn't super keen on with it is that the bust darts are really visible in it, and for whatever reason, I think it's because it's summer yarn, they're really, really visible, whereas this is not so bad at all. That is fitting really nicely. I was a bit worried when I tried it on the other day because it wasn't covering my bra strap, so my bra strap for reference is here. And it does cut in a little bit, so I can feel on this shoulder. Maybe would have helped if I'd taken my top off actually to show you this, but I can feel on my shoulder, my bra strap's here, and this is sitting here, so they're not quite there. But the other day when I tried it on, for whatever reason, this was really cutting up close and my bra strap was down here and there was a big gap. And one of the things I liked about this is that it's bra strap friendly. So I was a bit disappointed with that, but with the bust darts, I don't know how that's done it, but it has pulled it back into line again. So yeah, my bra strap's here and my strap is here, so it is definitely coverable. This actually I don't think is going to take me that long to finish. So I've just done the waist shaping, One of the things I wanted to try and work out when I tried it on was if I need any more waist shaping, and I think I maybe do, because the aim is to have it at 0 ease for your waist, and I have quite a lot there. So maybe I do need to increase some more waist shape, add some more waist shaping. So we'll see on that. I'll have a consider on that and see what I do. But yeah, I'm really, really pleased with how this is looking. So I'm knitting this in Drops Saffron. Drops Saffron, this is the very range of a ball here. This is my 3rd ball that I'm about to finish. It is a 4-ply 100% cotton yarn. It comes in 48 colours. This is the shade Red Clay, did I say that? It comes in 50-gram balls, which gives you 160 metres. But a 50-gram ball is only £1.50, so it's a very affordable top. I think I bought 8 for this, so it was cheap. It was not expensive. And Drops quite often goes on sale on a variety of different websites. So yeah, I'm really pleased with the colour of this. I was hoping it would really flatter my skin tone, and it very much has. So I'm very, very pleased with that. This isn't going to take me that long to finish, I don't think, because it's 4mm needles. There's no sleeves, so once I finish the body, I'm finished. And this is essentially all I've been knitting on in the last week. And I've done a fair amount of work on it. So while I've got it on the holders, let me show you how much I've done on it this week. That's inside out, that's why it looks weird. So when we spoke last time, you start from your centre back, and you knit down your neckband, and then you knit down the front to here, and then you go back and you pick up again from your centre back. You do the same thing on the other side. You knit your other front, you join them in the flat for the front, and you knit a little bit. Then you come back round here and you pick up from your neckline and you work down the back panel until you join in the round. And when we spoke last time, I'd done the fronts and I was probably about here on the back. So I have done quite a lot of work anyway, but there is a caveat there. I was working on this after I filmed my last podcast. I was working on this while I was editing, and I dropped a stitch in the Wicker stitch, and I noticed it instantly. And in that second, because it's cotton and it's got no grip, it had gone right back. It had gone about 5 rows back. I tried to fix it, but obviously you can probably tell from that it's twisted stitches. It's quite intricate. It's really easy to work once you get the pattern in your head, but I didn't know how to fix it. And I tried tinking back, but tinking back is also a challenge because it's twisted stitches. So in the end, I just ripped right back and came back to the pickup and redid it. But because I had done that, I was frustrated. I was going to say I was frustrated with it. I was frustrated with myself for not paying attention, and I couldn't face doing that again. Because say I was a fair chunk down, probably a third of the way down. So I ended up leaving it for about a week, and then on back end of the week before, just before we went on holiday, I picked it up again, and I probably got back to about the same place. And then I've done all the rest of that whilst we've been away. So it's in about a week. I've got the entire back panel done, joined in the round, with the fronts, and then knit that much of the body. How much is that? That's a good couple of inches under the arms, but also we've added the bust darts as well, which have worked flat back and forth. So a lot of work on this, and it's really, really progressing. I'm hoping by the time I speak to you next time, this might be finished. I've got a couple of things I want to cast on, and I'm hoping that this will be finished and off the needles well in advance of the deadline, but also so I can wear it, because I think I'm going to get a lot of wear out of this. And then I can move on to new things as well. So that's my aim for next week, is to get this done. I know I said I was going to get it done by the time we went away. That didn't happen, and actually it turned out the weather was terrible, so I didn't need it anyway. But it came with us when we went away, which I'll talk about in the live update at the end. And this is where we're at. I'd like to make some progress on my Reveries as well. That's my saffron on it. And ideally, I'd like to have finished this second sock by the next time we speak. We'll see. The last one WIP I wanted to show you is my cross stitch. Let me pull you back up, properly back up. Actually, before we do that, I'm going to put this back on needles. Okay, so the last WIP I want to talk to you about is my cross stitch. I mentioned this on a few occasions. This is a cross stitch kit from Innocent Bones. They do sort of witchy, gothic, horror, tarot inspired cross stitch kits. I think they do just patterns as well. I got one of the kits and I can't remember how much it was. Let me see if I've got it in my notes. feel like it was maybe like 20 quid. Really, really good little kit. It comes with absolutely everything and some really basic instructions. And I've made quite some progress on this. I've been really enjoying this because it's a bit different to knitting, but it's still very calming, methodical. It's been a nice break if my hands are aching or anything like that. And I made quite some progress. So I've got the lovers, which is supposed to look like this. That's really badly reflecting the light, but you get an idea. And this is where I'm at. So we've made some very good progress since last time. I think when I spoke to you last time, I had this heart, I had the pink, and I had the bit of purple, and that was it. So since last time, it looks like a much more progressed design. Obviously, there's all the bits up the sides to do, and there's all the back cover to do, and I've only got half of one of the skeletons. But yeah, I've been really enjoying this. I sit and pick this up, particularly when I started putting the black in, so I could really see things starting coming out. It just really grabbed me, and I've really enjoyed working on this. So you never know, this might be done by the next time we speak, and I will most likely get myself some more because I've really enjoyed this, and I really like the sort of tarot aesthetic as well. So that was a very quick mention of that one. I can very highly recommend their kits if you're looking for a cross stitch kit, particularly for beginners. Everything was explained in there, even how to do the stitches, how to end off your yarn and things like that, how to use the hook. So very, very, very much enjoyed that and very highly recommend it. So with all that, that's the WIPs I wanted to talk to you about. Like I said, we've got absolutely no acquisitions to talk about this week. There's just some life update. And I realise that's where I lose some of you. Not everybody wants to know about that. It does link to some upcoming knitting plans. But I thought I would grab my Wicker Dreams, do a little bit of knitting on it and talk to you whilst I do. So if you are interested in that, please keep watching. If not, thank you very much for watching. If you are the podcast winner, giveaway winner, contact me. And I shall see you on the next episode, I hope. But if not, keep watching and we'll do a bit of knitting chat. Okay. So where to start? It's been a good couple of weeks since we spoke, but there's been a lot has happened. So I mentioned on the podcast last time, I think, that we were going away. We had some annual leave. We are still technically on it. It's Sunday today, Sunday today. Tomorrow's Bank Holiday Monday in the UK. And then we're back at work on a Tuesday. So we're technically still in the middle of annual leave, although a weekend is always off for me. And I'm lucky in that respect. And we spent some of it going away, like I mentioned. So we just came back on Friday. It's Sunday when I'm filming today, Sunday the 26th. Excuse me. And we came back on Friday from 5 nights away in Staithes in North Yorkshire. Staithes was beautiful. I'm originally from Yorkshire, although from East Yorkshire. But we used to spend a lot of my childhood on holidays on the East Yorkshire and North Yorkshire coast with either my parents or my grandparents. And we never went to Staithes. We never went as far up as Staithes. Whitby was the furthest we ever went, really, or Robin Hood's Bay as well. But I'd heard of it, but I'd never been. And out of the complete fluke, Christian found an Airbnb. And we went there and we took the dogs. And it was absolutely stunning. Staithes itself was absolutely stunning. If you're looking for a little break in the UK, I can really highly recommend it. We had a nice break. It wasn't quite what we'd intended in some ways. So we had some poor weather while we were there. We had a couple of nice days. We did have I'll put some pictures up if I haven't already. We managed to get one evening sitting outside the pub, looking over the bay in the sunshine, which was absolutely glorious, watching the lifeboat go into do its practice. And then the very next day after that, we had weather bad enough that we actually had a weather warning for rain, and nothing that anybody could have done about that. It was just, typical timing that smack bang in the middle of our holiday we got that really poor weather. So that was fun, and it meant that one of the days basically was just spent indoors, and then the next one we did go out and do stuff, but it was still raining, so it's never quite what you want it to be, is it? And it's always a little bit of a challenge when we go on holiday with the dogs. I love our dogs to bits, we both do. We have dogs of a breed that are well known for not liking change. They don't like change, they love their routine. And in that respect, our two are a very good example of their breed. They don't like change. And despite the fact that Pepper loves going and walking around somewhere new, But the fact that the routine had changed, we were staying somewhere different, just meant that they were a little bit unsettled the entire week, and usually leads to some knock-on behaviours that are a little bit difficult around their routine, around walks and things like that. They'll be off their food a little bit. They will be reluctant to go to the toilet, which is difficult when you're on holiday, because it means that a lot of the time is spent trying to, okay, what can we do to coax them to eat this? What can we do to, so it's always a bit of a challenge. It doesn't sort of lessen it particularly. It just means it's less of a relaxing break when we go on holiday in the UK, which is a shame, or when we go on holiday with the dogs, which is a bit of a shame sometimes. But it is what it is. And then I mentioned that I'd been unwell. So I got an infection in my leg whilst we were there, which sort of reared its head on the Thursday when we were coming back on the Friday. And it was bad enough that I actually ended up ringing 111 to see if I needed to go to a walk-in centre or if I could wait until I came back. The advice was that I could wait until I came back, but it did mean that we had to spend Friday morning sitting and waiting to ring the doctor to see if I could get an appointment back here before we came back, and then basically coming straight back and going straight to the doctors and being prescribed some antibiotics. It is very definitely on the mend, and I'm really, really grateful to have been given the antibiotics, because I was quite worried. It had come on quite quickly, and it spread quite quickly. And I was worried. I know infections can get a bit nasty a bit quickly. But the antibiotics, whilst they are doing what they need to do, have given me some side effects. One of the big side effects of them is nausea. And I've very definitely had that. And I've also just felt, like I mentioned, quite sort of brain foggy, very sleepy, very drowsy. And I don't know whether that's side effects of the antibiotics or whether it's side effects of an infection. It could be both. I've had a bit of fever. That's why I'm slightly late with this video. Normally I try and film on a Friday or Saturday and get it up that day or on the Saturday, but yeah, we're on Sunday, and today, I was going to film yesterday. It would have been a shambles. I was just not feeling great at all. So it's just been one of those years where we feel like we've had a bad run of luck health-wise, and for it to have sort of fallen on the end of the holiday was a bit frustrating, because it meant that the last evening was spent packing and also keeping an eye on my leg rather than, enjoying it like we would have liked to have been. So yeah, it was a lovely break, we did a lot of relaxing. I struggle at the moment with reading. When I'm at work, I struggle to focus on reading in the evenings and stuff, but while we were away, I find while I'm away I can. And I think it's just that disconnect. And when I was younger, I was a very avid reader, and I went through 3 books in the 5 days that we were away, and I'm halfway through another one that I'm reading at the moment. I'm not halfway, I'm about a third through. It's a very big book, it's 650 pages. So I really enjoyed that. Like I said, I only took the one project with us, which was this, the Wicker Dreams. And I quite liked that forced monogamy. That was quite nice. So that was satisfying to be able to just sit and see the progress. I did mean to take my cross stitch and I forgot. So that work that you've seen is not included in that week on the holiday. It was a lot of work that I just really lost myself in it. So that was very enjoyable. And when we came back, I applied for a test knit. There is a bit of a story behind this test knit, and I found out yesterday that I've been accepted. So this is the Bigger Life update. So back in March, when my other half and I went on holiday to Prague and Poland, we actually got engaged while we were there. It was, very happy news. Very happy news. We've been together about 5 years. We talked about it a lot. We knew we were both on the same page with that, but getting engaged still felt, really exciting. And I decided fairly quickly that I don't want a white dress. I don't want a big dress. We're not going to have a big wedding. It's going to be a very small affair. And I decided that I am going to knit my wedding dress. I know. I know. I am not going to be doing a Kutubakika, doing it in 6 weeks. We haven't got a date set, but we're probably looking at most likely back end of next year. So I've got plenty of time. And I also didn't want a really big elaborate dress either. I didn't want particularly lacy, or it's just not me. It's just not me. It's just not what I want. It will be a very low-key wedding. It'll really just be us and parents, and that'll be it. It'll be, registry office. It's what we both want, and we're very happy with that. But yeah, the reason I'm talking about that is because I'm going to knit my wedding dress, and of course I'm going to document that process, because that is mental. Even I will admit it's mental. So I have picked a pattern. I had picked a pattern pretty much as soon as we decided we were going to do it. I had picked a pattern and I had saved it, and I had, you know, I'd saved loads of patterns and I'd gone through them and I'd whittled it down to the one that I wanted to make. And then I'd not got any further than that. I'd swatched for it from some yarn I had in my stash, and decided that at some point I was going to have to bite the bullet, buy the quantity of yarn. I'm probably going to use Knitting for Olive Pure Silk. That is the recommended yarn in the pattern. I did debate, and I still am debating, substituting with this, because this Fantasy Yarns is what I've used already as a substitute for that. So I kind of want to finish this and see how it blocks and wears to decide whether I'm going to do that or not. The part of me says, don't substitute. It's your wedding dress. Don't substitute. Use the Knitting for Olive. Even if I buy a full quantity of Knitting for Olive, it's going to be drastically cheaper than it would be if I was actually to pay for a wedding dress. So I think I'm probably going to use the Knitting for Olive. And the reason I mention all this is because I had settled on the MELIDES dress by vertknit, if any of you have heard that. I purchased a pattern. I was right at the top of the size range for the pattern, which was a bit nerve-wracking. And the pattern itself is a little bit intimidating because it's meant to be sort of made to measure. There are sizes, but there's things that you do to make it fit your size all over. And it was a bit intimidating, and I was a bit concerned that, particularly on my bottom half, because I've got a bigger bottom half than I have top, that it wasn't going to fit well enough. It wasn't going to be big. So I'd bought it and I'd considered it, and I hadn't got further than that. And then it was like serendipity that Inês of vertknit posted that she was doing an expanded size range for the MELIDES dress, and she was looking for testers. And initially I thought, I'm not knitting my wedding dress under test conditions. I don't want to do this. That's, you know, that's terrifying. Possibly the biggest dress that I will ever wear in my life, the biggest, most important dress that I will ever wear, that I will ever make in my life. And I'm doing it under test knit conditions. Nope, don't want to do that. But then she posted a couple of days after that she had chosen to extend the deadline, and she was being flexible with the deadline, and that it would be a very supportive test knit group. And that really appealed, because it is quite a daunting pattern, particularly in the setup things. The whole point of this is that the fit should be bang on, and really for having, you know, I've put pictures up by now. This is going to be my wedding dress. I want this to be a great fit. I don't want, and it's not like a wedding dress where you can go and get it altered. Knitted fabric, if I'm cutting into it, it's going to unravel. So I can't do that. So I need it to fit, and I need it to fit right. And the thought of being able to do that with the designer basically there on standby to help was absolutely a winner. So I found out yesterday. So I applied. All that to say, I applied, and I found out yesterday that I've been accepted. And I am going to be, hopefully fairly shortly, starting to work on that. I am a bit nervous. I'm a bit terrified. I want to get it right. And what I keep trying to remind myself is, even if it isn't right in the end and I end up doing something else for my wedding dress, I'm going to still have a beautiful dress that I will wear a lot. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. You will be seeing that quite imminently. You'll probably be seeing it for quite a while, because I am knitting a light fingering weight dress for my 50-inch bust, 50 whatever inch backside and hips, and my 6-foot frame. I don't want it to be floor length, but I do want it to be a good midi length. So there's going to be a fair amount of the skirt terrifies me a bit, because it's a dress that buttons up, there's a lot of flat knitting, so I'm a bit daunted. I have some ideas for colour. I'll pop on screen the 3 Knitting for Olive colours that I've seen that I think I might want to do. I am leaning towards the rusty colour at the moment, but I don't know. But I'm going to have to make a decision fairly soon. I want something that really flatters my colouring, and that's kind of like, the rusty colour will be similar to this, but a bit more dusty, I think. And my other half is also probably most likely going to be wearing some sort of greeny tweedy suit. So I want something that complements that to an extent, that doesn't clash with that, which is what my concern is about the green colour that's in here and some other greens that I've seen. I don't want it to clash with that. I want it to complement that. So yeah, I am nervous and excited and petrified all in one. All in one, because whilst I don't want the big wedding and I don't want the big dress, I do still want to look and feel good on the day. I do still want to look and feel good. So I'm going to be trying to track down some shapewear as well, so that when I try the dress on as I'm doing it, it fits how it's going to fit on the day. But yeah, that's some very big nerve-wracking news and some very big things that you're going to see upcoming shortly. That's really all the life update that I have to give you. I put out a video last week, and I'm going to try and keep doing more videos like that. I'm going to try, and every couple of weeks I want to put out a podcast episode like this where we chat and I talk you through what's going on. And every other week in between those, I want to put out something a bit different, and I have some ideas for that. I've got some ideas to do some unpopular knitting opinions, patterns that I think are maybe a little bit overrated. I'm a bit unsure about that one. Other pattern roundups. I want to knit some more cardigans later in the year, so I'm going to do a cardigan pattern roundup. What can I knit in a week? Things like that. Lots of ideas to do those sort of things, and I want to intersperse them with these podcast episodes, so it isn't just one trick on this channel. So there will be some varied forms of content coming from me in the next few weeks. And then yeah, there will very much be work on a massive project in the background as well, the wedding dress. So if any of that sounds interesting, or if you just want to keep track of the podcasts and you want to see what's going on in my life every couple of weeks, then please drop a like and drop a subscribe so you get notified whenever I upload. It always makes me really happy to see the likes, to see the comments, to see the same people commenting week in, week out, to see new people subscribing. It makes me really, really happy. So genuinely, I really appreciate any of you that do. And if you want to give a like and a subscribe or a comment, it will be massively appreciated. But on that note, I'm due for another antibiotic, and the light is starting to go, believe it or not, despite the fact we're not even at dinner time yet. And despite saying that I was going to try and keep this short, I've gone over an hour of filming. I'm going to try and cut that down in editing because there's not so much to talk about this week. But thank you very much for coming and spending some of your time with me. I hope you found some of this interesting, inspiring, and you're excited for the content, and you're excited for the content that's coming up. And I hope to see you soon. Bye, guys.